Today, we are dissecting the last two Las Vegas Aces games. Welcome back to Viva Las Aces. I'm your host, D. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, drop some comments below because this is Viva Las Aces, your home for all things Las Vegas Aces. Today, we are digging into the last two games for the Aces. And I like to look at these two as a whole because I think it paints a pretty good picture as far as what's going on with this Las Vegas Aces season. So the first game was against the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta. You get to see a little bit of struggles as far as what's going on with the Aces so far. And then that carries over into what happened with the Aces and the Wings. And you get to see how they've really tried to move different things and different pieces, but I'll get into that in a bit. So let's start off with the Aces versus the Dream. So this was a real, styles make fights type of matchup. The Dream came out with a very, very big starting lineup, and you started to see this Aces team really struggle to get any type of points in the paint. And this is a team in the Dream that they're kind of polar opposites. So this Aces team is, I believe, first in transition points, and the Dream team is first against defending transition points. And you started to see that. I mean, the Aces came out and were piss poor shooting. Like they could not figure out the half court set against this Dream team. They were long. They were great, making things very, very difficult for Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum. Even Asia Wilson was having trouble setting herself up in the post. And you just started to see that struggle. They came out and did an 11-0 run. And the Dream looked good, but they also just struggled to get things going offensively. I think the first Aces bucket came with like 5 minutes into the game. So real offensive struggle. But you started to see them figure it out here and there. They ended up on the second quarter taking over and going on a pretty good run as they head into halftime leading, actually. And one thing that really stuck out to me was when they interviewed Asia Wilson during the halftime when they're going into the locker room. She said, "This is a game of runs, and we know that the run is going to come for this Dream team, and we're just going to need to figure out our next move and make sure that we continue our streak of good shooting." Well, turns out that did not happen. They really, again, struggled in that half court system against this big Dream team. And you started to see why this Dream team is showing flashes of being a legitimate contender. I don't know if they're actually going to be that because their offense just needs to get better, but we'll see down the stretch. The Dream end up winning this game by 4. It was a hard fought battle all the way through. One thing I will say is it had to be addressed. Kate Martin coming into this game was the leading number of minutes off of the bench for this Aces team on the season. And Kate Martin, again, love Kate Martin. She's awesome. But there needs to be someone else on this Las Vegas Aces bench to help garner the minutes to create scoring. And the Aces earlier in the day, they took a swing and they ended up getting a future Hall of Famer in Tiffany Hayes. They lure her out of retirement to come one last dance. And I think that is going to be a piece moving forward that they are going to utilize heavily over the course of this season. And so, yeah, Kate Martin coming off the bench. Again, love Money Martin. I think that we're all seeing the memes going around of the WNBA rookies are in hell. And then there's Kate Martin having the time of her life, dancing with the team, having a good time. They're having her birthday celebration. There's no reason to believe that this team wouldn't react this way. You can tell Becky Hammon loves her, trusts her immediately, feels comfortable putting her out there, obviously, because she has the most points or the most minutes from the bench on the whole for the season. But Tiffany Hayes is going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. And I think those two coming off the bench as a duo is going to be lethal. So moving on to this Wings game, and we're seeing a lot of the same things. So we see a run from the Dallas Wings. We see why they get up, but then the Aces pull it together. They really figure out a way to get to the line. They end up going on a huge run. They make it, I believe, a 12 or 13-point lead. But then the Dallas Wings come back. They make it a 4-point game in the third quarter. But then you start to see they play Tiffany Hayes. Martin's starting to get in there. Then you start to see Gustafson really getting in there and getting comfortable. Yeah, after the Aces or after the Wings came back and made it a 4-point game, the Aces just completely took over. Had a monster third quarter, had a monster fourth quarter. Ended up blowing out the Wings. It was final 95-81, and Asia Wilson is, again, as I raved about her in the last episode, she is just continuing to put together performances that make you think there is no one better in this league than Asia Wilson. She is going to be the MVP this year. She is going to lead this team to a very deep run, if not a three-peat. And you feel very, very comfortable saying that. Now, once they get their rotation figured out, I think this team is going to be amazing down the stretch. Again, you're going to have Tiffany Hayes off the bench. You're going to have Kate Martin. Once Chelsea Gray comes back, I believe Jackie Young is then going to go to the bench and be in deep rotation. You are going to start to see this team really start to lengthen out. And this rotation, which has been very, very short, they only use a handful of players. It is going to be very, very deep moving forward. And you've got to feel good about that. This was the first time we've seen both the Dream and the Wings. If I'm a Dream fan, I'm like, oh, dude, we took on the back-to-back champs. We made their offense look pedestrian at some points. Our defense was just smothering. So you've got to feel good about that. But you've got to think, where are our scorers going to come from? Who is going to step up and be that? We need a bucket down 1, 2, 3 in the last minute. Who's going to go out and get it for us? On the Wings side, this is a Wings team that is playing without their best player. They're injured for the foreseeable future. So you've got to think like, okay, this is just a stepping stone for us. It's a measuring stick game, just like the Minnesota Lynx had against the Aces. And we see when the Aces get in that quote unquote measuring stick game mentality, they're more than likely going to blow you out just based off of pride. So I think from them, you've got to say, okay, where are we going to go for the rest of this season? If we're the Dallas Wings, we made the playoffs for the first time, or a deep run in the playoffs for the first time last year. Can we really capitalize on that? Is there going to be enough momentum to carry us through this season, or is this going to be another lost season where we're semi good? We're not going to make a really deep run, but we're going to build off of it and continue on next year. I think it's going to be really interesting to see down the stretch. Yeah, and the Aces versus the Dallas Wings game was the first game for the Aces, at least, that is considered for the Commissioner Cup. Commissioner Cup is a way to incentivize these WNBA players with, I believe it's about $500,000 worth of rewards and prizes. So, I mean, that's a good way to kick off the Commissioner Cups for the Aces, and they're going to continue on. I believe it's all through this month, so be on the lookout for that. You're going to see high intensity because it's worth more. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Viva Las Aces.